Well, we have a saying on this show that conspiracy theories are just 6 month spoiler alerts for what's to come. And there's no shame in raising these questions. So here's one for you. With over 30 million, upwards of 43 million illegal immigrants that have poured across the border during Biden's presidency. And the federal government is building massive facilities that can sleep tens of thousands of individuals all across the country. You probably haven't heard about these large facilities, have you? Well, why are they being built? Who are they for? We might finally have an answer. Listen.
It's not for these illegals, especially let's go off the numbers that they're telling us that there really are. They're saying, 11 million? In reality, I can tell you right now, with talking to all of the agents that I've talked to, private sector, looking at the cameras and all the real data, we're over 30 plus million who've actually entered this country.
Yep.
And so even with that, even though that's enough to replace about 36 states population, why would they need to continue to do that if they're trying to absorb these guys, make them productive members of our society, get them into housing, because we know that there are already housing projects being coordinated with builders, again, with our money. I believe it's to kind of like what Nazis did with the Jews, concentration camps, processing facilities. They're going to need somewhere to process the dissidents.
So it's not for illegal immigrants. Who is it for? Dissidents? We're going to unpack this with former 24-year veteran of the Customs and Border Protection, J.J. Carroll, who did this interview as part of his new documentary, Treason, scouring the country right now. And you just keep bringing unbelievable revelation after unbelievable revelation as part of this story. And I think, again, most Americans have no idea what is going on, and it's being absolutely kept from the American people right now. And JJ joins us once again here on the show. Great to see you. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Clayton. And thank you for talking about this documentary, because as I travel the nation, I have I believe I'm an expert on this topic. However, when you talk to people, and I have interviewed multiple people from all different levels of ability to get intelligence gathering data, it's fascinating to me and shocking at the same time when I speak to people that are very compartmentalized, meaning they focus on child sex trafficking. They talk about the gang members. They talk about facilities, and you get deep in that rabbit hole. Really, it's a rabbit hole. You're like, I didn't know it was this deep. I didn't know it was this broad. I didn't know it was this malicious. And you played this clip from someone I interviewed this past weekend. Her name is Christy Hutcherson, and she runs an organization called Women Fighting for America. But her background was federal contracting, and more specifically, abroad, but specifically, she worked on forward operation bases, FOBs, in military war zones, where she would put up these giant soft-sided facilities, water, food, et cetera, et cetera. So we're talking tens of millions, if not billions of dollars, right, that have transferred from her company, which she no longer is a part of. But she has access to all the bid contracts. So I'm interviewing her, and like I said, I have a very good understanding of what the hell's going on in America under this immigration invasion. But when I speak to people that are very dialed in on very specific areas, I'm shocked. And she tells me, and I didn't know this because I don't have access to it. She has access to the federal database where you can go on a website and there are endless bids for contracts from whatever. But she's focusing in on, she says to me, there's bids for detention facilities being built in all 50 states in America. And I said, okay, hold on a second. Say that again. She says, okay, I can go into a database because my company used to bid on all this. And I bid overseas, international contracts. Very, very intelligent woman, very, very connected. And she says, I go in the database, JJ, and there's detention facility bids to build individual detention facilities in every state in the union. And then she goes on to say to me, well, JJ, who do you think they're built for? Are they built for all the illegal aliens or the unaccompanied alien children? Of course not. And she has a point, right? because
why yeah, you would think, right? So that's where I was confused. I would have thought, okay, they're building all of these detention facilities across the United States for a purpose, illegal immigrants. But no, right? Because as your data has suggested, most of these ICE facilities, right? Can you talk about that, are completely empty?
Yes. Well, they are completely empty. I talked to my buddies in Texas and in San Diego, and I talked to my ICE supervisors, and they tell me, JJ, they're empty. So you're talking anywhere from 30 to 40,000 beds across America, mainly on the southern border, right, are empty. Well, why are they empty? Because we have massive catch and release. Let me explain what this looks like. In the old days, right? The old days, Clayton, 3.5 years ago, not 30 years ago, when I got someone that was special interest alien, deported felon, whatever, I didn't release them. I sent them to an ICE holding facility, and they went and they waited there a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever it was, to go in front of the judge, find deported, or found to be guilty of reentering as a felon. Then they spent time in federal prison, and then they would be deported. So we had all this bed space. But now, if I get someone that's a deported felon, I know this is going to be hard for people to believe. I arrest someone that's a deported felon now, I'm releasing them. I'm releasing them on the street. So you go from arresting people 3 years ago, setting up for deportation and prosecution, goes to, we call it camp, a camp space in an ICE facility, and then that individual goes through the court system and then is ultimately deported after he or she serves her time. Not now. Everyone gets arrested by the Border Patrol. They quickly vet them, and then release them. Just release them.